Hey everyone, welcome to Be the Change. My name is Lily Mott, and today's episode is about how change comes when you go for it and when you say it. This week's episode is following the trend of my last few episodes, and it is another special one because I have two more hosts on Be the Change Media Network on the podcast today. Skye Morgan and Tricia Walker are the hosts of Youth Voices, which is a series on the Forgotten Generation podcast, launching on May 8th. It was so great to talk with Tricia and Skye about their work, so let's get started with this episode featuring Skye Morgan and Tricia Walker.
I'm Skye Morgan. I use them pronouns. So I got really into social action maybe a year or two ago. I got involved with LGBT Youth Scotland and later became the member of the Scottish Youth Parliament for them. And so I do a lot of youth social action within that. But I've also gotten involved with Children in Scotland, Suicide Prevention Scotland Youth Advisory Group, where we consult a lot around giving our voices. So the Youth Advisory Group is young people aged 16 to 25 who have lived experience of suicide, bereavement by suicide, etc., and sort of use their lived experience in order to shape decision makers, or in order to shape ideas brought to us by decision makers. And then I got involved with I Will, which Lily, I know you know about. And yeah, the opportunities have just kept on coming. And I heard about the Change Media hiring for new podcasts, etc. I applied and got invited to join the Forgotten Generations podcast, which has been great. And yeah, I invited Tricia along to join me because I met Tricia. We met each other at college during the interview stage, and we both thankfully got into our course, and we've just sort of become great friends since.
Well, hello, I'm Tricia Walker. I use she, her pronouns. I don't do a lot of social action, but I'm glad to have this podcast to start doing more social action and help more people, more young people and LGBTQ plus young people as well. And I first heard about this podcast and to start the Youth Voices podcast for Skye. Skye asked me to join them. I was very thankful for that. And it's been great recording the episodes to work off of them and interview people as well. It's just been great overall. I'm glad to have this experience and yeah, it's been fun.
I love that. I think that was a great intro of you both. Can you tell me a little bit about your backgrounds and what interested you in media in general? Maybe Skye, for you, a little bit more social impact media. But Tricia, I think obviously you're diving into this podcast and you're studying this in college, so you both have a strong interest in that. Tell me about that. What led you to this path and to the work that you're doing now?
So when I was a lot younger, I didn't really do many public things. I was very closed off as a child, and then when I started going to high school, I became a little bit more open, and I learned a lot more in the world. I educated myself, and then when I came to the realization that I was transgender, it sort of gave me a lot more passion to stand up for my community and do a lot of work around that. I also became sort of a mental health advocate. I've struggled in the past with my own mental health, and I still sometimes do. I'm currently going through counselling, which I've talked about previously on my MSYP account. And yeah, I want to be able to sort of destigmatize mental health, sort of stand up for injustices injustices my communities face, and that's very prominent now, especially in media with a lot around politics and the Supreme Court ruling. I think it's more important now than ever to show the joy, trans joy, show LGBT joy, and show that we are affected by these decisions, but we're still going to continue to live our lives and be happy.
Yeah, just going back off that, I just really got into podcasting through my college course, which is journalism and multimedia. It was really good to see like the process of starting a podcast into how we can use the podcast to platform voices that aren't usually heard. And so that was really good. And just for like watching other people stand up for LGBTQ plus problems and issues for our community, it's inspired me to do the same. Like Skye's really inspired me to do it a lot more. And thank God they've asked me to join the podcast so I can do more. And it's been great.
It's amazing to hear both of your journeys into this, and I'm so excited that Skye, you brought Tricia along, and you guys seem like you've been an amazing team so far. So I'm so excited to see the podcast series come out. As much as you are willing to tell all of the listeners what is in store for them when they listen to the series, can you give a little bit of a sneak peek as to some of the episodes? Tell me a little bit about that. As much as you can tell us, don't spoil everything, but give a little sneak peek.
Yeah, so we've got a good amount in store.
Yeah.
We'll start with that. We're planning on sort of getting clips from episodes and sort of releasing them as teasers. We've done that for the first episode, the introduction, a very funny thing that Tricia had said when we were recording. You can find that on the Forgotten Generations podcast on Instagram. Um, and yeah, we're planning on doing that a little bit more for future episodes. Tricia, do you want to talk about the episode we recorded just there?
Yeah, a recent episode that we recorded, we got a young musician, a trans non-binary musician on, and we just asked them about their band called Escape. Excuse me, sorry,
Escapism Blues.
yes, thank you. And we just asked them what it's like being non-binary and tried to break through the barrier of like music industry, and it was really fun. They gave great answers. They were prepared as well, which is great.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. I'm so excited to listen to that. And I do think your podcast series is really tackling, as you touched on, Skye, a very timely issue, just as far as young people's voices and making sure that people have a platform to share their stories and to especially do that in a way where they can share their art as well. I love that you're highlighting a musician because I think that's such a wonderful form of protest sometimes and a wonderful form of expression. So I love that. And that's exciting to look forward to. Can you both tell me who is someone who motivates you to do this work, whether it's kind of in the media space or Tricia as you're navigating the social impact space, or Skye as you're maybe facing some adversity in the activism that you're doing? Who motivates you to keep going? Who motivates you to do this work? Does anyone come to mind for both of you?
For me, it's not really one person, but sort of my community and the way the sort of communities come together and show that we're unhappy with something and we're going to actively stand against this. So, one thing that comes to mind from that is I was at a protest. I was like the last week or week before. It was about the Supreme Court ruling. It was in Glasgow. It was such, it just felt so supportive being in that space with other people who agree with you and that other people who have been through that experience. It's just so empowering for me. And it's just seeing the work of other young people as well that sort of inspires me. The idea I got for the that we got for the podcast, it sort of hit me when I was listening to the Forgotten Generations season one, the episode that Troy did with Theo Burton. I was sort of listening to that, and when I was hearing sort of Theo talk about their experiences, it really sort of inspired me. And I was like, that this is great. The podcast, what it does, sort of platforming youth voices. I want to do that, but more specifically for my community.
Yeah, it's the same with me. Just seeing other people in our community just trying to get their voice out there and trying to highlight issues that need highlighting in our community has inspired me. And also seeing Skye has inspired me a lot. And also just talking about how some people haven't got that opportunity at all in their life to speak upon issues. And it's great that, we do. And this podcast has allowed us to do that, which is great.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And I think that it's amazing that the Forgotten Generation inspired you as well. That's a great kind of butterfly effect of podcasting,
Yeah.
especially doing this type of podcasting, I think, is if you can go into an episode thinking, I'm going to inspire one person, that's a great goal to have, and I think you're a testament to that. That's amazing. So, as you're both going through this journey of podcasting, creating media for good, social impact work, lots of young people probably will be looking at your story and thinking, okay, I love that. How can I get started? What advice would you want to share with those young people who might be listening?
If you want to get started in something, don't wait for the right moment because there's no right moment. It will never come. You just sort of go head first with as much passion as you can, and that passion will shine through when you're doing your work, and people will notice that. And the more you do it, the more inspired you feel. So my advice is just go for it.
My advice is if you want to say something, say it. Don't wait till late to say, oh, don't like get panicked about it and think about the stigma that's surrounding it. Just do it, because there's someone out there that's going to want to hear what you have to say and that will help them. And that's just like really good.
It was so great to talk with Tricia and Skye and to share the work they've been doing on their series. Tune in to The Forgotten Generation on May 8th to hear the first episode of their series, Youth Voices. And now I want to end this episode with a combination of the great advice that Skye and Tricia shared. Change comes when you go for it and when you say it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and you can find Skye and Tricia on Instagram, and I included those links in the description of this episode, as well as the link to check out the Forgotten Generation podcast, where you will find their series, Youth Voices. If you want to talk about anything I mentioned, please reach out to me by email at lily@bethechangepodcast.org or on Instagram at BeTheChangeMediaNetwork. I'm working on expanding Be the Change Media Network, which means bringing you more inspiring stories from amazing guests and awesome hosts like Tricia and Skye. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could leave the podcast a rating and a comment, because it will help these stories to reach, educate, and inspire more people. And I would also love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Tune in for my next episode, but until then, be the change you wish to see in the world. Bye, guys!